Hello and welcome to the show. I am Joe Tophat. On January 27th of this year, Mort Walker, the creator of Beetle Bailey, High and Lows, and other comic strips, has passed away. He was 94 years old. Walker was a giant in the world of comic strips, not only because he created 9 syndicated strips, but because he helped start the world's first museum dedicated to comic history. He may be gone, but Mort Walker will live on through his work. Walker's main strip, Beetle Bailey, has enjoyed the same level of popularity as Peanuts, though it never duplicated Peanuts' success in animation. There were some short cartoons made back in the 60s that was part of what was known as the Comic King series. The series featured 3 popular comics from King's Features: Crazy Cat, Barney Google and Snuffy Smith, and of course Beetle Bailey. It starred Howard Morris, known for playing Ernest T on The Andy Griffith Show, as Beetle Bailey, and Alan Melvin, who played Sergeant Hacker on Gomer Pyle USMC, as the voice of Sergeant Snorkel. Although entertaining, the show failed to live up to the comic strip, mostly because Mort Walker, who never liked the show, wasn't allowed to write any of the episodes. In 1989, CBS created a Beetle Bailey special in which Mort Walker actually got to help write it. It featured some familiar voice actors: Frank Welker, who needs no introduction, as Zero and Otto, Bob Burger, current voice of Porky Pig, as Killer, and Henry Corden, the second voice of Fred Flintstone, as Sergeant Snorkel. Like the 60s cartoon, this special was part of King's Features' plan to adapt other comic strips into animation, one of them being Hagar the Horrible. Unfortunately, CBS came under new management and the special never aired. Mort Walker said in an interview that the new guy either hated animation or he didn't want his predecessor to get any credit, so he killed all the King's Features specials, including Beetle Bailey. In 2015, a DVD box set of the 1960s Beetle Bailey cartoons was released, and the 1989 special was included as a bonus feature. Should we feel grateful that the special never aired? Let's find out. The special starts off with Sergeant Snorkel waking up the recruits of Camp Swampy. Of course, Beetle Bailey needs a little help getting out of bed. Let me point out right now that the animation for this special is so much better than the 60s cartoon. I don't want to be too hard on the show, since it was made during a time when TV animation hadn't reached the level of quality we would see in the 80s and 90s. Cartoons in that era were made as fast and cheap as possible, and the animation is bound to reflect that. Here, it is obvious that the animators were given more time and money to work on it. General Half-Track has received a memo from the Pentagon that Camp Swampy has 2 weeks to have one of their men look just like that muscle-bound dude, since that is what the Pentagon thinks the ideal soldier looks like. I know that soldiers are expected to be in tip-top shape, but are they really expected to look like bodybuilders? Half-Track overhears Sergeant Snorkel call Beetle the best soldier on the base, though he failed to hear the context of this statement. Half-Track orders Snorkel to bring Beetle to his office to compare him to the chart.
We, Sergeant, are in deep doo-doo.
That's an understatement. Half-Track puts the sergeant in charge of getting Beetle into shape in 2 weeks or he will get kicked out of the army. While Sergeant Snorkel does his best to get him in shape, Plato, Zero, and Killer work on the new weapon they hope would impress the Pentagon, using whatever parts they happen to find around the base, such as the General's chair and parts from Snorkel's crashed Jeep. Miss Buxley, the General's secretary and Beetle's girlfriend, is concerned that the sergeant is being too rough with him. The General shares her concern when he learns that Snorkel threw him off a cliff.
Snorkel! You're supposed to put him in shape, not out of commission!
To show the Pentagon how great of shape Beetle is in, Miss Buxley takes a picture as he lifts weights and sends it to the Pentagon. Here is their reply.
Dear General Half-Track, that's you. Congratulations on the progress of your enlisted man. That's Beetle.
Great!
Wait, there's more.
Oh?
However, you'd better have that fine enlisted man retrain that out-of-shape lard bucket you call a sergeant before we get there, or heads will roll.
This is your big chance to get even for all the years Sarge has been pushing us around.
Oh, come on, Killer. Sarge was just doing his job. I don't want to hurt him.
Most writers would have Beetle take advantage of Snorkel for all the hell he put him and others through, since he now has to train them. Although he doesn't worship Snorkel the way Gomer worships Carter, it's nice that he understands why Snorkel does what he does and has no interest in revenge. He only agrees to train the sergeant after the men tell him who the new sergeant would be and an order from Snorkel. The brass from the Pentagon show up, and they are less than impressed with what they see. Plato tries to help Snorkel by showing off his new weapon. Unfortunately, it goes haywire and starts to shoot up the base. Snorkel jumps in and drives it away, saving the day. The top brass are impressed with how Snorkel handled the situation and thank the General for coming up with the routine. The less they know, the better. The special ends with Snorkel chasing Beetle. Seeing this special makes me want to punch the guy who decided not to air it. Not only is the animation so much better, but the story fits in with the comic strip more than the 60s cartoons. And not to mention that the voice acting is much better. Now listen to the voice of Beetle from the 60s.
A beetle is a tiny insect.
Now listen to the voice of Beetle in this special.
Whatever happened to the manly art of negotiation?
Now listen to Sergeant Snorkel from the 60s.
Oh, the shame of it all.
Now listen to Sergeant Snorkel in this special.
If the Pentagon says 10,000, then 10,000 it is.
It's a shame the special never aired, because it not only could have led to a series of Beetle Bailey specials, but specials of other comic strips as well. Towards the end of his life, Walker has said that a Canadian animation studio was interested in making a Beetle Bailey, High and Lois, and maybe a Bonus Art cartoon. That was back in 2010, and as far as I know, nothing ever came from the deal. We may have missed out on a series of Beetle Bailey specials, but at least we can enjoy this one online or on DVD. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments section what you guys think, and don't forget to like and subscribe. See you later.